Right, including the fact that, given the fact that when they describe this guy as a creepy guy.
You have a problem with the documentary, Chris and Roberta, then I think you should say exactly what's inaccurate.
And then he said that they're tired of being harassed or being called, that by the family.
Okay. I mean, I'm
This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
Hello, Reporter Room investigators. My name is Jessica Della Davies, and today we're doing a documentary on the Gabby Petito Netflix series. Now, Chris and Roberta have come out. They are reportedly furious about the documentary. They feel like they were mischaracterized. Let me just read to you their attorney statement from Steve Bertolino. I just wonder if this guy will ever get tired of being the spokesperson for these two. But apparently there is no bottom, in my opinion, allegedly. Everything I'm sharing with you is my opinion, and opinions are not facts. So Steve Bertolino says, one perspective depicted as the truth as seen through their lens. This is Chris and Roberta's Laundrie attorney speaking, Steve Bertolino. He spoke to the U.S. Sun and TMZ on the Netflix docuseries on Tuesday, February 18th. He said, quote, each side believes their perspective is correct. Hard to see through the lens of the other with all the noise and distrust. But I didn't hear any specific things that Chris and Roberta are saying what this was inaccurate. But he continues. He said, quote, the documentary contains many inaccuracies, incorrect juxtapositions of timelines and misstatements and omissions of fact, perhaps deliberate to capture their truth, perhaps a simple error. He continues, this is Steve Bertolino speaking on behalf of Chris and Roberta, quote, we all knew Bryan took Gabby's and Bryan took his own as well. Let the parents of both Gabby and Bryan mourn them in peace. Well, here's the problem. I think he's conflating the two parents. We have Chris and Roberta. We have one set of parents who didn't know where Gabby was. That's Gabby's mom, dad, and her two step parents, because they're both remarried. And then we have Chris and Roberta Laundrie. And so we're going to watch with our own eyes what Netflix showed us. I have the Bodycam footage. This is not from the Netflix series. This is independent of that. But we'll watch with our own eyes, and you guys can decide for yourselves if you think that Chris and Roberta were portrayed inaccurately during this. Because Steve Bertolino did not specify anything specific as being inaccurate, and Netflix gave Chris and Roberta an opportunity to participate in the documentary, and then to conflate that both parents are mourning. Bryan's not here because Chris and Roberta refused to hold him accountable. When Bryan called them on August the 29th, he had done away with Gabby on August 27th, or in the wee hours of the morning of the 28th. On the 29th, after he calls Roberta, he talks to her for 55 minutes. And then what do? Chris Laundrie immediately calls Steve Bertolino, the attorney. It says an attorney. I'm assuming it's Steve Bertolino. And they give the attorney $25,000. That's not a little tiny amount. That is a criminal defense down payment. So they did not hold Bryan accountable. And if they had turned Bryan over to law enforcement, if they had told him to do the right thing and turn himself in, instead of playing the games that we're about to watch them play together, then Bryan would still be here. He would be in jail, but he would still be here. So to me, you can't conflate what Roberta and Chris went through to what Gabby's parents went through. There's no comparison, in my opinion. The officer's very respectful. He knocks and then he goes outside the screened enclosure and waits for them. Very respectful in his approach.
Police Department. Yes. Hi, sir. I apologize for bothering you. I have the detective on the phone. I'm not talking to anybody. You don't want to talk to us? Okay, she's on the phone. You don't want to talk to her now?
No.
Okay. When was the last time that you saw Brian and Gabriel?
Well, Bryan is here.
Brian is here.
Yeah, and that's all I'm gonna say.
And
And that's all
Gabriel
you're
is
saying?
probably supposed to be Gabrielle.
They've been calling. I don't know. That's all I want to say. I don't know why so many attorneys are aware
Okay.
they're calling. So I can give you his number.
Whose number? The attorney's number?
Yeah.
Okay, I would like that, please, so I can give it to the detective. Thank you.
But notice it's dark outside, so they can't call the lawyer. The police department can't call the lawyer at this hour anyway. But you can see Gabby's van sitting in their driveway. Brian's inside the house. But sure, they don't know anything.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And just to let the detective know, is Gabriel here? Or
No.
She's not here. Okay.
I felt was here last night.
Yeah. Okay. So is this her vehicle? Her van?
It's both of them.
Is both of them? Okay.
That's a lie.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
The Gabby was the sole owner of the van.
Hello. Yeah. Yes, and it's all on my body cam. Okay. They're not talking. And then he said that they're tired of being harassed or being called. That by the family.
So they're complaining about being called and being harassed by the family. To be clear, the family are Gabby's parents, NICHOL Schmidt and Joe Petito, were both reaching out, and they either turned off their phone or they blocked them. They said they depicted it as they're tired of it. They're tired of it. But let's skip ahead because law enforcement tries again to appeal to their good side, the Laundrie good side, but there isn't a good side.
Okay, and his name is Stephen Bertolino. That's the attorney's number.
Okay, so that confirms what I thought. It's Steve Bertolino who got the $25,000. But sure, they don't know anything about it. This is what Netflix showed. I'm not showing Netflix at all because I don't want to get in trouble with copyright. But this is what Netflix showed. And people and they're upset at how they were portrayed. Stuff was left out. What was left out, Chris and Roberta? Do tell.
Okay.
What information I have here, her parents last physically heard from her on August 27th, and they were supposedly out in Wyoming.
So he's talking to the law enforcement where NICHOL Schmidt lives.
Flew home, and yet you're seeing the van in their driveway, and they won't tell you where she is.
Yeah, and I asked him right now in front of you, who does that van belong to, and he says both of them.
Yeah, it's registered to her, and her family feels that it's hers. So I don't know how it works out there. And her phone's been off now for 10 days, and there's been no contact with her whatsoever. So I don't know if that van's a crime scene. How did it return there? If he supposedly flew home, there's definitely some issues going on.
We're going to look at their second attempt to try to appeal to Chris and Roberta's just helping out to find Gabby. That's all they're asking.
To Chris? Chris, this is Sergeant Selzer with the police department.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I hate to bother you. I know you've already said you don't want to speak or don't want to help us. I'm trying to figure out something for parents. You guys as parents, all they want is their daughter to know that she's safe. So I don't know where it all started before. I don't know what's transpired. I don't know anything about that. I'm here to know if you guys know anything. It would let the parents at ease and go from there.
Well, we don't know anything.
Okay.
And that's all.
I mean, anything that you guys would be able to give them is any type of help. Last time your son saw her, anything like that. Am I able to talk to your son? The other officer said
he's not going to talk to anybody.
Okay.
We're not going to talk to anybody.
Okay. I mean, I'm gonna lay it out for you if you want. The New York detectives are a little pissed, and they want me to do a whole bunch of things that I'm trying to
Well,
avoid.
then you have to do what you got to do, and we're not going to. That's that.
Okay. I mean, as a parent, you wouldn't want to know where it happened with
I
yours.
understand what you're saying.
He doesn't care. That's the bottom line. Chris and Roberta don't care about Gabby's parents. They describe them to law enforcement as harassing them, according to the police. So we have the New York police on the phone, and they're just trying to find Gabby. Her van's been parked outside their house, but they don't know anything. They hired an attorney for $25,000, but they don't know anything. And then they're whining about how they were depicted in the Netflix documentary. This is why they came off so badly. It's their own actions and lack thereof. But let's watch the rest.
We're not gonna,
It makes it very odd, don't you think? From my point of view,
well,
Chris.
goodbye for now. You can call our attorney and give your phone number.
I don't have your attorney, and an attorney's not going to answer at 10,
Well, I
11.
don't
It's dark out. It's 10 o'clock at night. They know their lawyer's not going to answer at this hour. So them directing them to the lawyer when we have when Gabby is missing and her parents are frantic and they're just refusing to help. Brian's probably standing right behind that door listening to the whole thing.
No,
Clogging, right?
I'm not speaking to anybody.
Yeah, we're not comfortable
Without
talking
an
to anybody.
attorney, so that's that.
Okay. So the van is only registered to her. Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm not really sure.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
And then we watch them literally start to close the door in the police officer's face. This police officer is trying to find Gabby. He's just doing his job. He's being as respectful as he can be. And we're literally watching these two close the door in his face.
I'm telling you, the
Okay.
title on the state of Florida is it's only hers.
Okay.
So it's not supposed to be here.
Okay,
So I'm going to take a tow truck and get it. Is a car in the way?
it's my car. I can move it.
I mean, so you don't have any issue with us taking the van?
If that's what you're saying, you got to do. You got to do.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm not speaking to anymore.
Yeah, without our attorney. But
Okay.
I can move the car for you.
You don't find that odd?
You don't find that odd. I mean, we all find that odd. If they don't know anything and didn't do anything, why didn't they return any of Gabby's parents' phone calls? If they didn't know anything and are so innocent, and their son came home with Gabby's vehicle, with Gabby's cell phone and Gabby's credit card, didn't they have him man up and be accountable for his actions? Why, when he called them from Wyoming on the 29th and he spoke to Roberta, why was Chris's first gut instinct to call their attorney? And why was there this flurry of phone calls back and forth? But they don't know anything. This is why they came off terrible in the Netflix documentary. It's their own actions.
Odd that you guys
Good
really.
night. Good night.
Okay.
Don't knock on my door anymore.
Okay. Are you going to move the car?
I'll move it.
Okay.
So then law enforcement has to tow her van. See that camper? See the camper right there? So when Dog the Bounty Hunter came on the case, I think law enforcement already knew this, but we didn't. When Dog the Bounty Hunter came on the case, we all found out that Chris and Roberta went camping with Bryan, and guess who met them out there? Cassie. Cassie, who claims that her parents weren't speaking to her. Cassie, who laughed with Roberta on the phone about law enforcement mistaking Roberta for Bryan. Chris and Roberta Laundrie made their own bed, and just like Bryan, they refused to take accountability. Well, guess what? The body cam footage doesn't lie. Your lack of empathy doesn't lie. And over here, right here, in your upper left-hand screen, that's the daughter. And I blurred out the faces of the little ones. That's Cassie. She should get an Oscar because she came out of her house and spoke to YouTubers and claimed that she did not know anything, that her parents were not speaking to her. And then we get these texts. We found out about these texts while watching the Netflix documentary, that she's laughing with Roberta. She's laughing with Roberta that law enforcement mistook Roberta for Bryan. If you haven't subscribed to Reporter Room, please do. Like, share, leave a comment. This is the last video footage that we have of Gabby. She's at the Whole Foods, and we're going to look at that footage together, but I just want to talk about mother and son enmeshment because of the burn after reading, which is the title of episode 3. And all of the revelations are mostly in episode 2 and episode 3. So if you just stopped at 1, keep going because it just gets better and better and better, and you learn more and more information. So I believe that Roberta and Bryan, allegedly, everything I'm sharing is my opinion, had a very had an enmeshment issue. I don't think they had good physical or emotional boundaries in the relationship. And I believe that because of the burn after reading letter. And Bryan didn't burn it. He saved it in the waterproof bag. I just wonder if there were other things that Roberta wrote to him that we don't have. In a enmeshed relationship, a mother gives her son special treatment and views him as her friend rather than as her child. I think she was over involved in Bryan's life. I think that there was a boundary issue. And the fact that Roberta changed Gabby's address, because remember NICHOL Schmidt in the episodes talks about getting from the United States Postal Service, and they were living up in New England, in New York at the time. And NICHOL talks about getting a change of address and asks Gabby, are you moving back here? And Gabby's like, no, I didn't do it. And Gabby told her mother she thought Roberta did it. Yeah, that shows a lack of boundaries, in my opinion. I think she had Bryan on a pedestal. He certainly shouldn't have been there. And I'm going to show you some some of the creepy photos that Bryan took along the way when he was doing the hike the morning after Gabby was allegedly done away with, which was the 27th. So this would have been the 28th. He takes this hike and he takes pictures, and they're kind of creepy. He takes pictures of animal bones. He does some scenery too, but animal bones. So I believe that she doted on Bryan. She viewed him as her favorite child, and that there probably wasn't any room for Gabby in that relationship. You can see Gabby doesn't look happy here. A lot of people are speculating that you can see that, Gabby's got her arms crossed. She's not holding hands with Bryan. Bryan's sort of walking away here. They're not holding hands. They're not close. We know that Gabby was in touch with her ex Jackson at this point. And I'm just wondering if Bryan looked at her phone and wonder if he was lying in that campground that night, just seething about Gabby and the fact that she would do better without him. So he was not going to let that happen. I am going to be covering the Gabby Petito series. I'm going to be doing a couple of more videos, so please make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next one.